Greetings, beloved Princeton United Methodist Church community. It's Pastor Jenny here with another update for you, and I'm reading this week from Matthew chapter 5, verses 11 and 12. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. This is the word of life. Thanks be to God. This is a hard passage to be thankful for. It's a hard passage to read, even because the two verses feel so contradictory to each other. Rejoice and be glad because we've been persecuted, because we've been reviled. None of us want persecution and to be reviled. As we try to look at this, though, through the lens of forgiveness, as we look at it through the lens of Palm Sunday, which is coming up this week as well, I invite us to explore it in a way that might not be as obvious. Have you ever noticed when you are in close relationships with somebody? So maybe it's your family or your family of origin or your big extended family. Maybe it's with your church community or a close circle of friends. But when you start to do something new within that community, there's something like a rubber band that's at work. So maybe you decide you are going to do something new for your health, and you're going to stop doing some of the behaviors that you used to do with your family, eat the way that you used to. You're going to try this new way. Or maybe it has to do with forgiveness, and you have decided you need to complete the forgiveness cycle, as we have learned from Desmond and Mufo Tutu, that you need to release a relationship or start anew, renew the relationship. But renewing doesn't mean going back to the old way that it was. It means doing something new in that relationship. Then when we do any of these sorts of things, there's a force, like a rubber band, that's pulling us back to the way things used to be. This happens in all sorts of our relationships, and it is really hard. And I think that this isn't all that Jesus is talking about here, but I do think this is a form of feeling persecuted. Again, that's a strong word, but it is, I think, a way we can sort of look at how these forces sort of work to push against us, to try to tell us that this new thing that we're doing, like forgiveness, or doing something healthy for ourselves, setting a new boundary, creating a healthier, more whole shalom space for ourselves, can often mean that it distances us from the very people that we are close to already. And sometimes that's necessary and helpful, and other times it is painful. And those can happen at the very same time. It can be good and right and also be very painful. I do think that this is one of the reasons that forgiveness is so hard for us, because to truly fully do it, it means often, not all the time, but often, that something has to change in us and in our relationships and in our communities. On the whole, forgiveness is going to lead us in the right direction, but man, it's hard to do. It can be such an uphill battle. So I invite you, as we move toward Holy Week next week, as we continue on the last stages of this journey of Lent, to consider where you're feeling that rubber band. Again, wherever you are, it may even be that even as you're thinking about forgiving someone, there's a rubber band that's pulling you back from doing that. From other people, from some messages that you've had within yourself. It may also be that the very act of forgiveness, even in the early stages, is causing ripples among people who are close to you. But where are you feeling that tug to kind of go back? If we think about this another way, we can think about how, forgiveness is all about releasing, being released from the bondage of holding on to bitterness and anger and the things that had a place perhaps at one time, but over time, for all of our benefit, we need to keep working to break the cycles of non-forgiveness, of vengeance. But that also can be thought of in terms of how we are enslaved or find death in the midst of sin, right? When we stay in these places, we are in bondage to them. We've talked as a community about Moses and about how when Moses led the people who were enslaved in Egypt out of that slavery, there was a bunch of rubber bands trying to pull them back. Slavery was easier. At least it was known then, at least in the moment they thought that, right? Than some of the things that they experienced in the wilderness. There are all sorts of rubber bands that are working to pull us back from the way of Christ, from the way of forgiveness, from the way of grace. The more we can be aware that those are tugging on us, the more we can decide what kind of power they have over us, and we can make choices to continue to follow Jesus, even to the cross, so that we can continue on to the resurrection. So, chapel, our noon Tuesday chapel service this week is being led by Halim Yoon. And I know that you'll want to connect with her, and we will have that again video by live stream or in person, and then also afterward a conversation via Zoom will happen, and you're always invited to that. You can also go back and see the recordings of those services that we've had all through Lent. They are on our website, and you can always go back there. But I also invite you this week to plan for next week. So Palm Sunday is this coming Sunday. We will have Palms, and we will have our first Palm Sunday service in person in 2 years, and so grateful for that. And we will also be looking toward all of Holy Week. Lots of things are going on during that week. We have our church will be open every day for prayer. Our labyrinth will be out. You'll be invited to come and be whatever you need during that time. Will be open Monday through Friday for that. We have our Tuesday chapel will happen next week as well. Taylor Necochea will be leading next week on Thursday. Maundy Thursday is our Maundy Thursday service. And I want to pause here for a second, because if you've never been to a Maundy Thursday service, I know it often kind of gets overshadowed by Good Friday. I find it to be one of the most powerful services of the year, one that really helps me connect with what Holy Week is, to connect with those things that happen between Palm Sunday and Easter. So I invite you to come. Even if you're live streaming it, that is a wonderful way to participate. At 7 o'clock on Thursday of next week. Friday, we also have a Good Friday service next week at 7 o'clock. Oh, and the Maundy Thursday service is also joint with our with Kingston UMC. They'll be joining us in the Princeton sanctuary, and we'll be celebrating then. Saturday, we have a very quiet, very short, contemplative, just prayer service for half an hour on Saturday morning, and then we have Easter on Easter on the 17th of April. We are changing our sunrise service up this year. We're trying it out. It's an experiment. We're doing it jointly with Kingston UMC and also Kingston Presbyterian Church at Carnegie Lake. So this is different, and try to remember not to show up at our campus that day. We're going to try it this year, see how it works. We hopefully can at least alternate, if not go back to what we're used to next year. So we're trying it out, trying some new things. But make your plan now for Holy Week. We would love to see you or know you're present with us throughout this journey as we move more deeply into those final stretches of our passionate journey for Lent. Blessings to you all. Continue to know that you are enough because God is enough, and that I am grateful to be on this journey with you.